Hey guys, so it's Dr. Canary. Welcome to Brains Behind the Beauty. So today I have a special guest with me, my homegirl, Dr. RELL.
Hey.
Hey, thank you so much for joining me, boo.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad to have you. So today with Dr. RELL, we're going to get to know her. We're going to talk about everything from our careers to being ambitious women to dating to some sex tips on how to keep your man. So let's get started. Girl, tell us
Okay.
about yourself for the people who don't know.
Yes. So I am Aurelia Whitmore. I go by Dr. Rell. I am a PhD, so I'm a scientist. My PhD is in pharmacology and toxicology. And I'm from FAMU. Got my PhD from Florida A&M University.
Okay.
So shout out to the Rattlers out there. And I am a scientist at heart, a bubbly, extroverted person at heart. And it's funny because when people ask me that question, well, what do you do? And a lot of times people are thrown off. They don't think I'm a scientist either.
Yes, we got to get into that.
Okay. They don't think I'm a scientist, but I am. I have the titles, my dear.
Oh, that's right.
Right. But yeah, so how I got into just my field now. So I'm a scientist, but I currently work in biotech. So I work for a Canadian biotech company.
Okay. Nice.
And how I got into it was just being a scientist is really what people think that it is. Like you're in a lab, you're pipetting, you're in confined to four walls, and probably working with biohazardous materials or drugs. And in my case, when I was working on my PhD, I was working on understanding how certain proteins respond to chemotherapy.
That is so cool. That is really cool.
So that's what my research was focused on. And it took me, thankfully, it took me 5 years to get my PhD. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's PhD journey is so different.
Right.
From 4 years, 3 years, 12 years, and they probably have a mouthful to go behind those years.
Right.
But thankfully it took me 5 years to earn my PhD, and I knew when I graduated that I didn't want to stay in a lab.
Okay.
I was always that fun lab mate. Like my PI, which is pretty much the person who ran the lab at the time, gained his citizenship. He's Chilean.
Oh.
And he gained his citizenship while I was in the lab. And I just remember throwing like this party when I made like these American flag cupcakes for him. And everybody, all my lab mates was like, girl, calm down.
Right.
Like
any reason to party.
Okay. Right. So I've just always been that extroverted, very emotionally involved person. And it's just who I am at my core, while also being that curious person, that scientist. And so I knew when I was finishing my degree that I had to find a career that could let me be me.
That's good. Yep.
That could let me be curious, but also that embrace those aspects of me that some people or certain environments wouldn't.
Right.
And so that's why when I finished my degree, I was set to get a job in industry. Okay. I was set to get a job where my personality was just as appreciated as my knowledge, my skill set, and my background.
Nice. Now, you don't see a lot of African American or minority women that are scientists. So how did you even get into this career?
Yeah, so it was so funny because I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. So I went to Southern University at New Orleans. And while I was in undergrad, I actually was just really good at math. My mom pretty much enrolled me into college. So my story, I was not that person who knew I wanted to be a doctor.
Right.
That wasn't me. I knew I felt like I had something greater, but I didn't know how to tap into it. Okay. I didn't know how to tap into it. And I actually came from a family of healthcare workers. My dad is a physician and my mom is a nurse.
Okay.
And thankfully they didn't pressure or push me to go into medicine or to go into any healthcare profession. They pretty much just encouraged me to do something that would make me happy. But my mom was like, "You're gonna do something that makes you happy, but it's gotta make you some money."
Yes, I think that's every Black mom. 'Cause my mom said the same thing. She was like, "I don't care what you do, as long as you can pay your bills."
Exactly. And I remember, well, I want to be a social worker, and she was like,
"Don't pay a lot of money, unfortunately."
Yeah,
and they should.
They really should.
Teachers and social workers
workers should should be making six figures.
They really
They
should. Absolutely.
And I remember her saying, no, nah, you're not going to do that. If you're going to
Right.
go to school and you're going to be pouring yourself out to people, you're going to do nursing.
Exactly.
So I was doing prerequisites at SUNO
Mhm.
for nursing school, and I was just acing those classes. And I think where what changed for me is I had a professor, her name's Dr. Mims. She's the chancellor now of the university. And I took her class, and she just made science come to life. She
Mhm.
talked about her son. Her son suffered with allergies. Also that's more immunology, but her son
Mhm.
suffered with allergies, and she just made everything come to life,
Mhm.
just in a way that we could kind of do now with
Right.
COVID. Like COVID is a part of, it's a real the COVID virus is a real micro
Absolutely.
biology
Yep.
course
It
for
is.
everyone.
Yep. It
And
really
that's
is.
what she did. She talked about case studies,
Mhm.
but in microbiology.
Right.
And she just
That was
made
one
it.
of my favorite classes in medical school.
Oh
My
yeah, micro
favorite. Micro was like my favorite. My least favorite was
pharmacology.
neuroscience.
Oh,
I actually
okay.
liked pharmacology.
Okay.
Yeah, it was neuroscience. That was like
Okay.
my least favorite. I hate neuroscience.
Really?
Yeah, I did not like it. My professor was cute though.
Shout
Shout out to him. I ain't gonna say his name, but he was cute.
What's the first initial?
Nah, he's married.
Okay.
But yeah, he made it interesting, but I did not like neuroscience.
Oh
at
my
all.
goodness.
My
It's so
gosh.
funny because a lot of MDs I talk to, they say they hated pharmacology. Like
Really?
remembering the drugs and the brand name versus the trade name was just a pain.
Yeah, and that was difficult. And I think it got better when we did like our third, fourth year medical school, when you got to do like clinicals and rotations, because you actually were using the drugs with the patients and
Right.
just not trying to memorize it. But I actually liked learning about drugs and pharmacology. Like to
Okay.
me, that was the most interesting part of
That's so
pharmacology.
cool.
Yeah, so I actually like that.
That's what's up. That's
and it
what's
helped
up.
me a lot.
That's
The
good.
career that I choose now. Okay, so
Yeah.
you told us about your career path.
Yes.
So if young girls, because I know like me, when I was in medical school, I did not have a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of my parents were doctors.
Mhm.
No one really in my family was a physician or a medical doctor. You know, I had family members that are PhD, but I didn't know like who I could go to.
Right.
So for you, like what advice would you give young women that are looking up to you, like, you know what, I want to be just like her. I want to be a scientist.
Right.
What would you tell them, like how to get mentors, how to network, how to get to where the point that where you're at essentially?
Right. Absolutely. I would tell them to reach out to me.
Mhm.
If you're watching this and you're a young lady and you want to tap into working on your PhD or what that process is like. If you're an undergrad, obviously it is a process. If you're
Right.
if you're an undergrad or you're in high school, you can't just jump into it. There's steps you have to take to get there. So I would encourage them, if you're listening, to reach out to me. And if you don't know someone within your network, then make those people a part of your network.
Absolutely.
And that's essentially what I've done to get to where I'm at. There were people, especially in the biotech and pharma space that I'm in now, there were people in my current circle that were not doing what I'm doing now.
Right.
And so I had to overextend myself to those individuals who were, and it really started with the people who were in my circle. I asked them, well, do you know someone in industry? Do you know someone who works at this company? Do you know someone who works at that company? And how can I connect with them?
Right.
And even to this
asking
day,
questions is so pivotal. Like people don't understand like that. You have to network.
yes,
You have to network.
absolutely. Absolutely. And ask for informational interviews.
Mhm.
You can, with the way social media is set up now, you can literally hashtag PhD.
Yep.
You can find someone who has their PhD.
You guys listen, she's dropping gems. That's actually true though. You really can. You can look at hashtags and find exactly the people that you're looking for and network from there.
And reach out. You know, if you plant one seed, the likelihood that it'll grow maybe 50-50.
Right.
If you plant 30 seeds, you search that hashtag PhD and you find 30 people, create a message, have one of your friends screen it, because when people reach out to me and there's like little errors, if it's Instagram, I don't care. But like if it's like LinkedIn or an email and I see grammatical errors and they want me to kind of do a favor for them, I'm like, okay, girl, like, or okay, guy, like, okay, like, you know, we're gonna talk. Then I'll try to get them on a phone, because then I know that they're curious, which is great, but maybe we need to start at the basics.
Right.
And so, you know, and not everyone has time for that, or not everyone will. Even me, I've reached out to people to try to get to the next level, and I knew I needed someone, and they weren't as willing to help me. But
were these women?
Yeah.
Were
Yeah.
they African American?
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
African American women who and it's so funny because a situation happened not too long ago where I reached out to someone, some alumni,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the ladies reached out to someone I knew
Mm-hmm.
who I worked in my lab with and said, "Hey, do you know this girl?" Because she reached out to me and asked me this, and I don't think that was appropriate.
Wow. And that's something that I really want to talk about today
Yeah.
because we're both doctors, we're
Yeah.
both professionals. And just, I saw this quote one time and I'm not sure who said it, but it said, empowered women empower other women.
Mm-hmm.
And that is one thing that I found very difficult in the career that even that I'm in is
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the women, thank God they were not African American or minority women, but they did not want to assist me.
Mm-hmm.
They were not trying to help me. They were not
Yeah.
trying to, you know what I'm saying? It was
Yeah.
almost like they were giving me a harder time,
Mm.
probably more than any other doctor. One, because I was
Mm.
young and a
Mm-hmm.
woman, and probably because I was a Black woman.
Right.
You know, so we need to, what would you suggest that we can do? Because that's honestly how you and I met was we met through Instagram
Mm-hmm.
and we were just DMing each other and we were just uplifting each other. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, girl, you're so intelligent. You're beautiful. And that is how we created essentially like our friendship.
Yep.
And so women need to know that it is not a competition. Like
Nope.
if you see a woman doing the same thing as you,
Yep.
it uplift her.
Yep.
You know, see what you can learn from her because we can all learn from one another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 150%.
Right. Because we know how hard it is
Yes.
in this career or in any career that you're in. And
Right.
other women are doing the same thing as you. And they see you as constant competition,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that can make things a lot difficult when we can all just work together
Yep.
we can move up to the next level. So,
Yep, we can. But I think it is important too because I had more women want to help me than women not.
well, that's good.
I have. And I think it's important though to know that when you do reach out, there may be Black women, there may be women who look like you, there may be that person who's trying to do the same thing as you who may not it may not sprout into this, right? It may not sprout into a healthy friendship or someone who genuinely wants to see you succeed as well and have your back. It may not. And I think it's okay to just keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
And keep going. Yeah, absolutely keep going. But to have that in mind too, because that's just it's like a rat race out here.
And honestly, failure is really a part of success. And I always tell people
Absolutely.
that because when I graduated, let me tell you a quick story. When I graduated, I remember it was Carabana. It was 2018, and I went to Carabana. So it was like life was perfect because I was getting ready to go to party. And then my graduation was literally when I flew back. So I just flew back from Carabana in Toronto. My graduation, I think, was like that Thursday or Friday. And I started my job on Monday. So at my graduation, I was like, y'all already got a job. Like, I'm good. You know, all my peers and stuff were like, oh, you know, we're still trying to find work. I got fired that Thursday from my job. I literally just started Monday.
Wow.
When I tell you like depression, I was like in a Snuggie, cuddled up in the bed, eating cookies and ice cream because I was like, oh my God, like how do I get fired on my fourth day of work?
Right.
Did it have a lot to do with discrimination? Yes, but I'm not even gonna get into that story.
Yeah.
But my boss, she was a woman essentially.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was just going through training. So I'm like, how in the world do you get fired when you're going through training and you're learning?
Right.
So anyway, I remember like I cried about it for maybe like 15 hours. And then after that, I was like, all right, I got to apply for other jobs.
Right.
And a couple months later, I got the position that I'm at now. And I'm so glad that I didn't like give up and I didn't, you know, continue to eat ice cream in the bed because I was just so depressed at the time. And I was like, oh my God, what's wrong with me?
Right.
But I really am glad that I didn't give up. So just remember, guys, that like failure is a part of success. There are always going to be people that are going to tell you no or think that you're not good enough for whatever job that you're applying for or that you're trying to apply for.
Yep.
But if you just keep going and you keep your skill set up and you network and you meet different people, it will happen for you. Just take your time. Just gotta be patient.
Yes, and that's a word.
Thank you.
That is a word.
But I want to talk about your business with people that are already professional.
Yes.
So you help people like me that don't have my LinkedIn together. So can you talk about that?
Absolutely. So I have a business. Shout out to Alicia. She's on Instagram as well. She's a lawyer. She's been trademarking my business.
And what's her Instagram, just in case, so people can?
Girl, let me see.
And we might just put it in the end for you guys if you can't find it. But we just want to give you guys some resources.
Exactly.
Because people ask me all the time, like, can you put that in the bio or can you DM me that? So,
Right. It's Miss Lady Lavish.
Okay.
MS Lady Lavish. So shout out to her. She's also another woman I met on Instagram.
She's a lawyer that we had dinner with.
Yes.
I actually need to hit her up. Okay.
Yes.
Shout out to her. She's amazing. She is amazing.
So she's been trademarking my business, which you're speaking of, which is called White Coat, White Collar. And so it's essentially that I help white coat professionals. So that includes PhDs, MDs, PharmDs transition into white collar careers. And the business stemmed from my desire and my personal story as a white coat to tap into a white collar profession. So there's so many opportunities in a white collar in a corporate setting for scientists, for doctors, for those with white collar or STEM backgrounds that a lot of us don't even know yet. Right. And so what my mission is now, what my team is currently doing is that we're pretty much working with HBCUs.
Okay.
And what we're doing is we're teaching them of the careers that their students can do in a white collar setting. So right now, one of the universities I'm working with is a pharmacy school, and they didn't know pretty much me, even the careers that I have now and some of my team members, their careers, they didn't even know about those careers. And so what we're doing is we've pretty much created something like a course where we're teaching the students these are the careers that you can do with your degree when you finish your degree.
That is amazing because people don't know of those they don't know that field exists. You know, even when I graduated from medical school, I was like, okay, medical school, residency, and then I was like, work at a hospital?
Right.
Exactly. So I was like, I didn't know, you know, what would be the next step. I didn't even... Honestly, I don't even know how. I work for a pharmaceutical company for those who don't know. But honestly, I didn't even know doctors work for pharmaceutical companies. Like, I stumbled upon this job because I was desperate for work. Yes. But it ended up being a blessing in disguise because I love what I do. And honestly, I mean, I work part-time at the hospital and I'm working on COVID cases right now, which is not even a part of psychiatry, but I love it. I love the fact that I can kind of switch specialties and you do that with a pharmaceutical company. They'll have you do other things besides the specialty that you've been designated for technically.
Yep, absolutely. So see, you can be on my team.
Yeah. Well, first I need help with my LinkedIn because it's a hot mess. So we gotta start there.
If y'all are listening now, go look at her LinkedIn.
No.
And then wait, but it's gonna be a testimonial. Look at it now, and then come look at it again once me and my team.
Yeah,
and that's
her. Like she said, you know, having a LinkedIn.
Nope.
Having a LinkedIn and things like that are so important because that is how other businesses and professionals can reach out to you. So don't listen to me and don't have a terrible LinkedIn because my LinkedIn is a hot mess. But I mean,
it does speak volumes that you didn't, I think it depends too on what space you're in because obviously your LinkedIn didn't have to be up to par to get the job that you're in now.
Yeah. But I think you're right. It's important that you do have all those things up to par though, because if a company, they see one applicant, oh, she has a LinkedIn. Let me go take a look. They can get a quick run of it. Like
and they ask
resume.
for it now.
I've seen it on a lot of job applications. They do ask for it.
They ask for your social media. They want to know everything.
I ain't got social media.
Yeah, I'm just on LinkedIn.
I'm like, you have to work hard to find me. Because I ain't telling you that. I'm like, no, I don't have that.
Right.
All right. So we talked about the career. Was there anything else that you wanted the people to know about what you do?
So, I think we covered everything as far as with my business. And if you're listening and you're a student and you don't know about careers that you can have as after you finish your biology or a STEM related degree, or if you're a pharmacist, an MD or PhD, and you want to use your degree in your science to tap into the corporate space, you can visit my website. It's whitecoatwhitecollar.com. Go to contact me and let me know how you found me, which would be through Brains Behind the Beauty. Let me know, and I will begin the process of working with you or working with your institution to to provide resources.
Awesome. I think that is so amazing, girl. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. I'm proud of you, Miss Mind Body Sex. Okay.
All right. So let's get into relationships. Are
Okay.
you single? Are you taken? I know, but just let the people know.
I am taken.
Okay.
It's a fairly new relationship with an amazing man, and I'm happily taken. I've been on the market for a while. You know, we've talked from, especially being a professional, a single professional,
right?
Being a doctor, dating the doctors,
and that's one of the things I wanted to get into is because I've been off the market for a while, so I can't really speak on this.
Right.
But how is it dating as busy as you are, even though you're beautiful and you're intelligent and you have your own business? How is it dating though?
Oh boy, dating has been rough. I think when I was in grad school was my last serious relationship before the relationship that I'm in now. So I've been about 2.5 years now of just dating.
Okay.
And it has been interesting, especially geographically.
Right.
Finished grad school in Florida, so I was dating in Florida.
So wait, if you had to compare, because I know you went from Florida to New York, Georgia,
and now I'm Atlanta.
So who has the best men?
Ooh, I gotta give it to my hometown, New Orleans.
Oh,
yes, because that's my man right now.
Okay,
he's from home.
Yes. I know that's right. Okay, so New Orleans men's beat everybody. But I gotta go with Georgia though.
You gotta go with Georgia.
I gotta go with Georgia.
That 504. We got somebody over there repping. What's that for? What?
Oh, heck no, Dade County. I dated a guy from Atlanta Miami.
From Miami?
Yeah, the worst.
I'm just playing.
Stay away from guys from Miami.
Shoot, you gonna need
Jesus after them, honestly. Bible study and all that. They something else.
Seriously.
Oh, I don't know nothing about them, but I.
Okay, yeah, that's true. The Cubans in Florida.
So, what are some tips that you? Because you were single for what, 2 years until you got into this relationship?
2+, yeah, like 2.5 years.
So, what are some tips that you would give women when you're single, you're dating? What tips would you like to provide for them?
Oh boy, in today's world, it's so hard. Let me just start with that, right? You have apps, you have Instagram. I think it's so hard to find the value in getting to know someone and really seeing who that person is, like the core pieces of them that would make a relationship progress.
Absolutely.
Because we're so used to putting on facades. I mean, even as we just mentioned, like our jobs can't find us on Instagram. That's a piece of, where we decide what we want the world to see and what we want others to see. And I think when dating, especially if you're just out there to date and have fun, do you?
Right.
But if you're actually dating to like really try to build a genuine connection with someone, you have to let those guards down.
I think you just said a key word with the genuine part, because when you look on people's Instagram, and that is it's almost like a resume in a sense, because you can get kind of what they're into, what they like, even, I'm telling my stalkerish ways, but even when I was interested in a guy, right, my boyfriend, I went on like his likes, and I would look at like the type of girl that would like his stuff, and then I went to who he followed, and I would even, I'm like the FBI, don't judge me, okay? But ladies, pay attention, because honestly, it's not about stalking, it's about doing your research. And you guys, the field that I'm in, I like to do my research.
Yep, me too.
So I would I wanted to see the caliber of women that he liked.
Right.
Because essentially who you follow, for me at least, when I follow somebody, that means I like something about your life. Or I like a piece of you. Whether it's you're a professional, or you travel, or you're into medicine, you're a doctor. There's something about, I'm not following just random people that I don't care for.
Right.
I'm actually following individuals that I have an interest in, and I have an interest in something on your page.
Right.
So the guy that I was interested in, I went on his Instagram and I scrolled down all the way to whenever, and I kind of looked at who he was following. I'm like, let me see what caliber of women that he's interested in.
Right.
And it did. It gave me a
Mhm.
little insight. It gave me a little
Mhm.
insight.
Did
So
it gave you insight in the right direction, right?
it definitely gave me insight
Okay.
in the right direction because he definitely had a type.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you fit physically?
You know what? Not even physically. I would say more career wise. He had a type.
Ooh.
Yeah,
He
he's
date the
definitely.
doctor base.
He was dating nurse, doctors, pharmacists,
Oh,
all in the medical field. But it made sense because his dad's a doctor, so it made sense. But yeah,
Mhm.
you can tell a lot. But
Yeah.
my thing is just that genuine connection.
Yes.
And so I always tell women when you're dating, like do your research. I see too many young women, they date, but they're not dating with purpose, even
Right.
though they want to date with purpose.
Yeah.
But they're not dating with purpose because they're not finding any information about the guy.
Right.
They're not really asking the hard questions.
Right.
And I joke all the time on my social media. I'm like, oh, when I first meet a guy, I'll ask him what his social security number is or what his credit score is. I'm joking, but at the same time, I'm low key serious. Like, ask those hard questions.
Right.
Maybe not on the first date, but like the third date.
Right. I mean, you can ask questions like, what are your intentions on dating me? Like, obviously,
Exactly.
you want to make sure, I think when you're dating, you want to make sure you're aligned.
Mhm.
So, you have people who are out here dating and they just want to meet people. They like your Instagram. They think you fine and you got personality and they just
Right.
want to be around you. And then you have other, guys that may see, oh, wow, well, she's a scientist and, oh, she has a picture of her dad and her family. Like
Mhm.
that I think just understanding, first of all, probably what attracted the two.
Right.
And then asking those questions about who they are and what values they have and seeing if it aligns. But I've had crazy stories. So I have like a friend story on my Instagram. I've been laying low lately, but because I've been building my special relationship.
I know that's right. Huh?
But I have a friend story on my Instagram, and my friends can tell you it's like a movie. It's like a series.
Well, wait, I like the story. I don't know if you want to share this.
Which one?
But the one where you guys went hiking.
Oh yes, I can share that. Oh my god,
That story is hilarious.
I was on a dating app out here. I just say, I think it was Hinge. I was on Hinge when I got to Georgia. I was like, let me see what Georgia working with. Let me swipe, see what Georgia working with. And I matched with this handsome guy. I think he played football or something too. Really handsome guy. And we matched and he immediately wanted to take me to dinner. And I like that. Like, what are we wasting time for?
Yes. Guys, this is a tip for you. Don't always ask what we're doing. Please just say, hey, let me take you to dinner.
Yes.
Are you available this day?
Yes.
Have something in mind. Women like men that take initiative. Come on now.
Yes. 100%. Like, and that's what happened with him. He was like, hey, where you want to go eat here? And I was like, okay, cool. And at first I was like, well, dang, we didn't have a lot of conversation. But then I was like, maybe we'll have it when we get there.
Exactly.
So of course, then the other side of me is kicking in, like all these paranoid questions.
Right.
But anyway, I ended up meeting him. We had great chemistry. And we talked and we had a great night out. And so we just started this thing where we were meeting up on the weekends. And so we had a date at the Roswell Waterfalls in Georgia. And when we're there, we had an unexpected guest who happened to be his ex. And she pretty much...
she even find out where you guys were?
She didn't know. It was totally by chance. Her and her girlfriends and her sister were going hiking.
Oh.
Me and him were going hiking.
Maybe I brought her there before, though.
I don't think so. He said he never been there because, I asked.
Okay.
Because I'm just like, bruh.
Yeah, I know. That's right.
Bruh, like this was a lot.
Right.
So we were there and we had an unexpected guest and she wanted to know who I was and talk to me. And I told her that we're literally on a date. I'm all like, honestly, most women probably wouldn't have entertained it.
I would have been like, girl,
right.
If you don't get out my face, if I karate chop you in the throat.
Right. But honestly, I've been that girl. Foolish enough, I have. So I'm just like, look, obviously she put herself out here like this because she needs this closure. And she wasn't an ugly woman. She was beautiful. Her and her whole crew, baddies. Right. And I'm just like...
Ladies, don't do that, though. Don't ever question another woman about a man. If that's your man, you should not be questioning a woman about. So I do not recommend doing that because
Yeah.
I've had a couple of friends, acquaintances that want to pull up on another female. Please don't do that. Come on
Right.
now.
Yeah. Stuff like that can get real. It could turn south.
Right.
That's not like I try to diffuse situations, especially when it's involving a triangle like that, but it can turn south so fast. So
And it was really his ex, though.
it was
She
really
even
an ex.
said-
Yep.
okay,
She wanted to know who I am. She was like, "Do you know what he did to me? What he put me through? He is not a good guy." Yeah. And so they pretty much ended things without her closure.
That's what it seems like.
And so he was just like, "We can have a conversation, but it can't be right now. Like I'm with this woman." Like,
right. Was he fine?
he was fine.
Oh, he was from Atlanta?
No, he's from Florida.
See? Ladies, leave them
from
Florida dudes
Florida.
alone. Leave them alone.
Yeah. Oh, he was from Florida. And of course he went to the details of the situation. And it was their situation was so sticky. And I was just like, I don't want to be in a sticky situation with you. It was a sticky situation that with something that can happen to anyone. She pretty much got pregnant and he didn't want to have any more kids. He already had 2 kids. And he was like, the next woman I'm going to have kids with is going to be my wife.
Right.
So, people could go about it 2 ways. Men could be like, well, I told I didn't want kids. And women could be like, well, I told you, pull out, wear a condom, and whatever. And things went the other way. So it could be 2 different stories, but it wasn't my cup of tea, so I ended it.
Good. Smart woman. Okay, so we have a question.
You actually have 2 questions, ladies. The first question is intentions on the third date. And the second question is, how approachable are you in person?
Okay.
Good
So
questions.
intentions on a third date. Like, should you ask for it? That's just how they word it.
It just says intentions on a third
From a
date.
guy or a girl?
As a guy, yeah.
Let's do both. I can, if you
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so from a female perspective, of course, I would say yes. You should figure out their intentions on the third date because I feel like by the third date, you've probably been talking on the phone for a minute. You've already looked through their Instagram. You've already Googled them, ladies. Google men, women. Google men, Google women. Everybody Google each other. So you've probably gotten a feel for how they are as a person. So I personally, you got to remember, I'm also in my 30s. So for me, I don't want to waste any time. Now, when I was 21, 22, all this is thrown out the window. But now that I'm dating as I'm older, I would ask questions like, okay, when was your last relationship? How did your last relationship end? Have you healed from that relationship? Do you go see a therapist? Like, I'm asking everything. Boom, boom, boom. Right. And I am asking their intentions. Do you want to be in a relationship? Do you want a friendship? I don't do entanglements. So
no entanglements around here.
No. So what about you?
I actually think differently. Okay, and I don't know if this is good or bad, but
no, but it's good because there are women that are going to think how you think, so it's good.
I think I normally try to go into, and I think it's a response just from disappointment in life. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's good or bad. I'm here with the psychiatrist and the sex therapist, so maybe she can give me some tips or correct me. But I go into situations, or I meet people, or I'll date. And in hopes that it could be something nice, in hopes that things would lead to something beautiful. But if it's the third date, I'm hanging around you probably because we either had a great time together and I think you're fun. I'm hanging around you at the third date because you got good vibes, or I like you and I want to see where it goes. But those are 2 totally different things, right? Having fun and he makes me laugh and we have a great time together versus, wow, I want to spend time with him because it's quality time.
Yes.
So I can be both. I can be those girls
and
in one.
It depends on where you're at in your life too.
Yes.
If you're looking for a relationship, because at one point I was like that too. I didn't ask when I was dating 2 years ago in Atlanta. I wasn't asking guys about it. I wasn't asking them. I didn't really care, honestly, because I was so focused on my career.
Right.
But with the man I'm with now, I mean, we got pretty serious really quickly. Yeah. Because by then I had already had this relationship that I was out of, and I had healed from that relationship. I went to counseling, therapy, all that good stuff. Right. And I was like, okay, my next relationship, if possible, I want this to be my last relationship. And I literally prayed about the type of man that I wanted. And I prayed to be a good woman to that man. Right. So it can go either way. And I
Yeah.
think you just have to decide. As women, I think we also have to be honest for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times we date and we're not ready to date.
Mm-hmm.
But society tells us you need a man
Yep.
at this age. You need to have babies at this age.
Yep.
And we feel that pressure.
Yep.
So then we're like, oh my God, I have to find a husband. But are you going to be a good woman
Right.
to a man?
Right.
Because it's not always on the men. And
Yep.
we like to place a lot of blame on the
We do.
men.
We do. I agree with you 100%. And your story's similar to mine's now.
Mhm.
Like with my relationship, I was in a bad situation. I went through therapy. I still see my therapist. And when he came into my life, it was the perfect timing because
Right.
the whole situation with the guy at the waterfall happened.
Mhm.
And I got off the apps and I was just like, let me just focus on my business. Let me just focus on work.
Right.
And he came into my life and he wanted to help me with all of these things. He wanted to be supportive. He wanted to know who I am and support me in the ways that I probably, that I was doing everything by myself.
Right.
Like he wanted
He
a
was enhancing
partner.
your
He
life,
was
yeah.
enhancing me.
Mhm.
And I've been around a bunch of guys who knew what I was doing and
Right.
saw me, working all these hours and doing all of these things, and no one stepped up like him. And I was
love
just
that.
like, wow, like this is what it feels like to have support. This
Mhm.
is what it feels like to not be alone, to not do stuff alone.
Yeah. And that's
So-
so important. And for men too.
Yeah.
Men, the males that we have listening to this, you have to have a woman that supports you as well. And I'm just trying
Right.
to advocate for the men because I have two brothers and I want them to be with women that support them and advocate
Mhm.
towards them because I don't want to have to do anything.
Uh-oh,
No, but
warning.
so, but also the other question was, are we approachable?
No, not if. How approachable are you in person?
Oh,
And
well,
I know, can I elaborate what he's trying to say?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because us guys, we approach different type of women different type of ways.
Mhm.
Like we know which one to say, "What's up, shorty?" to, or "What's up, girl?" or "What's up, little mama?" So, how approachable are you guys? Like, what would be the go on about your business?
Okay.
That. What's up, shorty? What's up, little like
Little mama. Yeah.
yeah, little mama.
You guys, I think you just have to. I don't like being called little mama. I don't like being called shorty. I don't like being called light bright. I don't like being called girl with the
Red
curly
bone.
hair. Rib. I don't like any of those. Like, I think men, when you are approaching women,
Yeah.
please come accordingly.
Right.
So, excuse me, miss. And I've had some guys do fantastic jobs. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Mhm.
I was approached the other day at the gas station. And if I didn't have a boyfriend, I would have definitely given this guy my number just based off of his approach.
Mhm.
He was such a gentleman about it. Like, oh, I'll pump your gas for you, or I was actually charging my car, but he was like, I'll help you with whatever you need, But I was at the gas station just getting some stuff, and he was a gentleman.
Mhm.
And I was like, and I told him I congratulate them. I said, that's how you approach a woman.
Right.
Excuse me, miss. We don't want to be touched.
Yeah.
I see men running after women, touching them, and then they wonder why the women have such, like, they're looking
our
like startled, or
response,
their
yeah.
response is so negative.
Yeah.
It's because nowadays women are being attacked if you don't
Mhm.
answer accordingly to certain men. So you have to be
Absolutely.
very careful with how you are approaching these women.
Right.
And, don't call them shouty and all. I mean, we don't like that. I'm just
No.
going to be honest. You're not going to get no woman likes stuff like that. So just
Mm-mm.
approach someone how you would want your mom to be approached.
Right.
Think about it, or your grandmother.
She said, "Grandma, excuse it, ma'am.
Maybe
Ma'am,
that's your grandma.
you
but
need me to
definitely-
carry your groceries."
Wait, I want my groceries carried, and I want my gas. I want all that. So-
Right.
But yeah, but I feel like I'm very approachable and I'm really nice, even
Yeah.
if it's a guy that I'm not interested in. And with women, I love when women approach me and, give me compliments because I'm that type of woman. Like, I
Mhm.
love giving other women compliments and making them feel good about themselves. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm very approachable.
Yeah. I'm approachable too. I think it depends on the environment. If I'm in a say shawty environment and I know I don't want to be approached, I could put
Mhm.
that
That's thank
the RBF on real fast, you know what I mean? But outside of that, I'm definitely approachable. I think that's how we met. Like
Yeah.
but I normally start the conversation too. Like I'll normally be like, "Oh shoot, like her shoes cute, or like
Mhm.
I find myself usually like the first person to
I'm
kind
kind
of
of shy when it
to
comes
say
to other
something.
women, though. I feel more
Yeah.
comfortable with guys. It's really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think because I have more guy friends.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to women, sometimes I just sometimes feel like it's always like a competition with
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
I do, but I try to, but I know like some women may probably be like me with that resting, be faced.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like behind that shell is probably like a cool chick
Right.
who's just has her guard up for whatever reason. And sometimes a smile or a hey or your shoes cute
Right.
can
Well,
break
break
that
that.
shell.
Mhm.
And as far as with men, I mean, I'm taking now, but they don't know that.
Right.
So as far as when men try to approach me, most times I just, if I see them like about to open their mouth or say something, I just like turn my head. I normally just don't.
Run away.
Yeah, I just don't.
And men take clues when we're not interested. There's a
Yes.
difference between when we're playing hard to get and
Mhm.
when we're genuinely not interested. And I feel like some of you guys can tell and you just don't want the truth. Like you're going to continue to pursue. And it's like, and don't come at us because this pisses me off. When we're professional and you're
Mhm.
coming to us about a business or something, don't then try to turn it into something else. Because I have a lot of guys in my DMs that do that. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, I'm interested in X, Y, and Z. And they're making it seem business related.
Right.
And then once we talk, they're
Yeah,
like,
they
oh,
like-
you single? Or
Right.
you? And I'm
Yep.
like, what?
Yep. They not wrong for that.
They not wrong for that? The
Go
one man
ahead.
in the room says they
But
not wrong for that.
Why they not wrong?
Because you just said earlier, you look for somebody that's in the same type of, I guess, field. Like you said, your boyfriend like nurses and
Mm-hmm.
okay, so they may do the same thing. So they attract, you attracted them by what you did. So that's what attracted them, us. Well, let's say us, because
Right.
both y'all beautiful women, all due respect. So that's what attracted us to y'all. Y'all beautiful.
Yeah, but you
So
can't
we-
start
that's-
off
but that's-
with business.
I understand it, but that's our way to get in. We got to get in some kind of way.
Oh, Lord.
So if you're a doctor and I'm a doctor, we know that's our first look. Okay, now you're on first base.
Mhm.
Now we're gonna try to
Maybe
slide-
it's a way to do it because I feel like
Yeah,
the ones
you
that
can't do
I
it off
met
the rip. You
that
gotta
they
graduate.
were it wasn't no gradual. It was just like, you single?
I mean, I don't think nothing's wrong with that, honestly. I
Really?
don't think nothing. I've had men do that, but I don't, because it's like he said, like you gotta find a way anyway. And when I think about my career, like
Mhm.
when I think about the people I want to reach out to for
Right.
something, like I don't. Of course, I want to know who they are, and obviously,
Mhm.
if they're alumni, we have something in common. I'm sure the people who reach out, y'all have something in common, whether it's a mutual friend or a mutual interest that is visible with you,
Mhm.
obviously traveling. It may be something that makes them see, oh, okay,
Right.
this is somebody I want to be connected with. Let me
I think it's
step.
maybe just the way they go about it. I have to
Yeah.
show you my DMs because it's just the way they go about it that makes me cringe.
Are
I'm
we,
like,
are we gonna have an episode of
Yeah.
analyzing the DMs?
oh my
Just
god, my
going
DMs are
through.
crazy. Like, oh my, yeah.
Gosh.
Okay, so y'all, we gonna get into the sex therapy portion of this. So we want to teach the ladies how to spice up, romanticize your sex life.
Yes.
So Dr. Real, we'll start with you. What tips do you give or would you give to a woman that is beautiful, is a business owner, and feels like, you know what, sometimes she just doesn't have enough time for a man because she's wearing so many different hats?
Right.
What tips would you give to like spice up the sex life?
Ooh, I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing this. But sometimes, my boyfriend, he has a busy schedule too. And so I mean, it's still early for us, but we can get wrapped up in our own stuff.
Absolutely.
And last week was like a super stressful week for me. And I know what makes me not stressful is like pleasing my man
I
and
know
being
that's right.
pleased. And so
Yes.
I try to lay the foundation for it. So earlier this week, I think it was Friday, I was like, babe, like, we need to, I was like, we should like take like a bath this week. So he just like renovated his house and stuff. And he has this huge like garden tub. And I was like, we need to take a bath.
Oh.
And so we have this little playlist. This is called Deep Love. So we played our Deep Love playlist and we made a bubble bath and lit candles and For me, intimacy is talking. And so we laid in the tub and we just talked.
That is awesome.
I mean, we did other stuff too.
Yeah.
But a big part of it was that's what spices things up for me, right? Because it pulls us away from everything else. Like our phones are away. We just got our music. It's just us, Adam and Eve in the garden, and it's just us connecting and talking, and that intimate quality time.
That is amazing. And you know how many couples I know through my business sex therapy that do not listen to music when they make love.
We do
not. You do?
You don't?
Oh wow! So we have a male in the building. If you guys are wondering who we're talking, he does not. That's crazy. A large percentage don't.
Now you
don't.
I think that's a mistake because we've been together 17 years.
Oh.
So I think that's a mistake now. You know what I'm saying? We just so busy doing everything else.
17 years ago wasn't Spotify.
Yeah.
You couldn't create these
No,
playlists.
I DJ for a living, so I make my own.
So you could have had the CD.
Well, I got one called Rocking the Headboard. So.
Oh, Rocking the Headboard.
And I got
coming out in
and I also got one
stores.
called Good Eating.
Good Eating?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
When you dropping these singles?
They've been out for a while.
They've been out for a while. Okay, I'm gonna have to listen. Is it on YouTube?
Now these are old Steve when we had CDs.
All right, so
I got you covered. I got you covered.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna have to. But
to.
yeah, so a lot of the couples that I counsel, they don't listen to music. They don't have a playlist.
Yeah.
And intimacy is so important because people think that, just jumping right into sex. And I tell people all the time, like, build that intimacy. There's so many different things that you can do to build intimacy.
Absolutely.
I mean, the regular doing laundry together, that's building intimacy. Cuddling, that's building intimacy. Giving each other massages, cooking together, just spending quality time where you guys are communicating. All those things can lead to the next level after intimacy.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't even need that. You don't need to have sex. Sometimes you just need to have that communication time, that cuddling time, that just revitalizing each other's energy. That's also fine. And I think people forget that's a key component to a successful relationship.
Right. And I think it goes back to like your love languages. And I know that's something else like couples from like 17 years ago didn't know about and didn't talk about. Like, it's so funny in today's society now, like we have so many resources and tools to make whatever we want
we don't
our
always
reality.
Use them though. That's the crazy thing. We don't always use it. Because you'd be surprised at some of the questions I get sometimes. And I'm like, you really could have Googled that, because
you're talking about your patients.
Yeah, well, my patients, like a lot of them hadn't heard about the 5 love language. You had a question? Oh, okay. So a lot of them didn't. They didn't know about the 5 love languages,
right?
And then when they took the quiz, they were still loving their partner in their own love language.
Right.
So let's say my love language is physical touch, but my partner's love language is quality time. Well, if I'm touching him all the time, hugging him, kissing him, that's not his love language. So he's gonna be like, okay, babe, thanks.
Right.
So I have to love him and cater to him in his love language, which is quality time, doing things with him, spending time with him.
Right.
And I think that's where people get the love languages confused is don't use your own love language, use your partner's love language.
Right. And if you don't know your partner's love language, you can take the test.
Yes, exactly. 5, it's called 5 love languages?
Yep,
Yeah,
the
5 love
love
languages. Yeah, you can just Google it.
Yeah,
it's free.
The 5 love languages.
The 5 love, and it's a great starting point. I think that when you're in your first couple of months, even your first year of dating, to use because it's really going to give you a leverage on kind of your. Yeah, I take the test,
but it's for singles too.
Yeah, it's for men and women, it's for singles.
Yep,
it doesn't take more than 30 minutes.
Right. When you go on the website, you can click if you're a couple and if you're single.
Yeah. And the thing is, I always tell people, it gives you leverage. Like that is leverage into what your partner needs and wants.
Yep.
Because I think that's what a lot of issues and miscommunication come in is we're not loving in our partner's love language.
Yeah.
We don't know. I hear a lot of men. In fact, I just had a dinner last week with some doctors. And they started talking about their sex lives, and they were saying how like their wives don't know, and they've been married for years. And they were talking about how like their wives don't know what they want, their wives can't please them. And the first thing I asked them was, "Well, did you tell your wife like what you want, what you like?
Right?
Like, does she know that you want X, Y, and Z in the bedroom? Like, have you communicated that?" And they're looking at me like, "Oh, she don't know that I want fellatio." And I'm like, "She should, but every man has different preference,
right?
So it's so important to learn your partner." And I think that's your relationship will definitely succeed if you really learn your partner and what they like and what they want, what they need.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
So we gave you some tips on that. How are we on time?
Oh, okay.
My mom is actually watching. Oh my god.
Ah.
She's like, maybe I shouldn't watch because I think she came in right when we were talking about sex.
Hey, Mom.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
Mom.
Hey, mom. Shout out to my mom. And I'm actually going to have her on the podcast. So my parents have been married for like 32 years. So I feel like my mom can definitely. I want to. One of these shows, we're going to definitely have like the moms.
Oh, that would be so
yes,
cute.
I think that would be so dope.
And my mom has been single for a while, and she's been married 3 times.
Oh, we gotta have.
So
your
that would
mom
be a
then.
totally different.
Yes, I want to do that. We're
perspective.
gonna do that. So, guys, let us know in the comments what you think about that. If you have any mothers in particular in the Atlanta area that are willing to do that, let us know.
I got a good question for you.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yes,
what's
we
the
got another
question?
question.
First of all, I love it. I love what y'all doing. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
It says, what if he cannot satisfy you sexually, but covers your love language completely?
That's a good one. So, you want to go first?
I've been there. I've been in a situation like that. And I will say, I think with time, your love language can shift.
Absolutely.
So when you take the test, it gives you like your top, it gives you the order. There are 5 love languages. And so you kind of want to focus on those top 3. So for me, one of my love languages was quality time. And I dated a guy that actually he wasn't trying to have sex. That stemmed from another situation, but he wasn't trying to have sex. And I like sex. So at first I was just like, oh my God, this is so weird. Like, I know ain't nothing wrong with me. So like, what's going on? But I enjoyed spending time with him. Like, he would plan the coolest dates for us. Like, give us skybox tickets to NBA games. We would do like all of these cool adventures in New York City. Like, I didn't have to do anything because with being busy, like, and my mind is running so many times. Like, it feels nice to just have someone just plan the whole date out and then go above and beyond. And that's what he did.
But it still didn't work out on me.
It didn't work out.
Okay.
It didn't. But that's what the question was, right? So, I mean, I think that lasts for so long.
Right,
I think
absolutely.
if intimacy for some people is just having sex and that's it. Whereas for me, it's like a production. I like the music. I want to feel love. It's so much that goes into before you put the key in the door.
Right.
And so where some people it's the key in the door and that's it. Right. I'm not that type of woman. So for me, I think it lasted as long as it did because he sufficed in so many different areas that made me smile. Right. And even when it ended, it didn't end because of that. It ended for some other things that I think made us incompatible.
Okay. So I think one thing I always tell my clients in a situation like that is you have to decide how important sex or whatever you want as a main point in your relationship. So for some women, they have low libidos or some men have low libidos and sex is not, a priority for them. Other things are a priority for them. So if you're in a relationship and you're like, you know what, I have a man or woman that their libido is not as high. They don't want to have sex as often as I do, but they're fulfilling every other thing. And that is what is important to you, then the relationship might work. But if you are a high sexual functioning person, meaning you have a high libido, it's not going to work. And I've seen this time and time again with my therapy where you have 2 couples, they love each other, they might care for each other. And we have to also remember there are different levels of love. And I'm not sure if people realize that. Like you can be in love with somebody and love them, but they might not be the person for you because they might not check off all the boxes that you're going to need to sustain your relationship. And that's the thing. If you want a relationship for a year or 2, then hey, do it. But if you want to be married, as long as my parents have been married like 32 years, you're going to need a little bit more than just them checking off a couple boxes. So if they do have a low libido, find out why, because sometimes it is what they're eating. It could be their nutrition, their diet. And I work with patients through all that. But if it's really just because some people really are not interested in sex. Like, it has nothing to do with because of their partner. It's just them.
Yep.
And that's okay, but they need to be with other people that might have a low libido. In fact, we should make a website like lowlibido.com,
Lowlibido.com.
highlibido.com, and just base it off of people's libidos, because people
Or a
forget
dating
how,
app for low libido
yes,
people. So you don't.
because I'm telling you, it really does. It's sad to say, but statistically, it makes or break relationships.
Yeah.
Sex all the time. Sex, communication, money. Top
Yeah.
3 things I see for divorce all the time, or
Yeah.
relationship issues.
Yeah.
But guys, we are actually, I think, we're good. Okay, we got
we got
another
15 minutes.
15 minutes.
Any other questions?
Do we have any other questions?
That's me.
Okay.
Is it good to put the information out there on the, like, how soon on a date or how soon in a relationship do you tell a guy your sex drive?
Ooh. Okay, so when it comes to sex, I feel like, well, especially with the sex drive thing, that's kind of like, that's a very personal, touchy. So I think when you feel that you are getting ready to practice intimacy with them or engage in any sexual activity, I think that that's when you should go ahead and have that conversation. So if we've been dating for a minute and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to engage in something with him, and I know that even though I want it at that moment, but further down the road, I'm not going to need it for another 2 months, I think that's when you have that conversation. And I think you should honestly have it before you have sex, because you don't want to waste your time. And that you shouldn't waste that person's time.
And me, the biggest thing for me with sex is making sure, especially in Georgia, it was so funny with my current boyfriend because I made us. It was for him. I kind of knew my status already, and he knew his status, but I needed to know. We took HIV tests. So that's big for me.
Absolutely.
So, because you could talk up all day, ooh, I'm going to rock your world. Ooh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And then you get in the bedroom, and I'm like, what a rocking? What we doing? And nothing delivers. So, like, I feel like you could talk about it all day. You don't really know sometimes until you under the sheets.
Right.
And the only thing I don't want to be caught off guard with under the sheets
is STD.
Okay. So it's like you draw your luck with that.
Yeah, that's very important, guys. So we live in Atlanta, Georgia, and we have a very high HIV and STD rate here. So it is so important, like she mentioned, if you are going to engage in sexual activity, and when I talk about sexual activity, I'm talking about everything, even with your mouth. It is very important that you use protection, whether it's condoms, whether you both go get HIV tests, and even if you both go get HIV tests, please still use condoms, because people believe in entanglements. So, and you might not know that you're in an entanglement and you in there. And also abstinence. I think that's a subject that we kind of miss out on. If you are, practicing abstinence, and that is something that you should bring up when you're dating.
Yeah.
And I'm all about being open and honest. I know a lot of people are probably like, this is too much information when we're dating. But if you are dating with purpose, it's very important that you guys are on the same page and finding out if you want the same thing.
Absolutely.
So I always say, if you're abstinent, that's great, but you need to let your partner know that you're not engaging in any sexual activity, because I mean, he might be or may not be, highly upset whether you tell him or not. So
and
just being
where
honest.
this is where we're different, but this is why I love us too, right?
Right.
Because I think our cores are so similar, but I think sometimes our approach is different.
Yeah.
Because I ain't gonna lie, there have been moments where I was like, I went through situations, or I just wasn't trying to have sex, and I practiced abstinence, and I was still dating, and I didn't feel like it was his business.
Really?
I did. I was just
wow.
I didn't feel like it was a guy's business, because
wait,
we need to get through a few dates. So I guess that's the thing with me, right? I think seriously dating with me kind of comes by, this is gonna sound crazy, but see, you're the therapist, so we're here. We can have a session for the next 13 minutes or so. But for me, like, I've had moments where I was like, okay, these situations didn't work out. I don't want to date right now.
Okay.
And then when I'm ready to date again, I end up like probably meeting someone that's like a great person, and we end up in a serious relationship. But I've never really said, all right, Now I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna find me a boyfriend and it's gonna be serious and it's gonna happen.
Right.
And it happens. Like it
Doesn't
even if I
happen
think like that and I
Right.
go out and I'm like, all right, I'm a doctor now. It's time for the ring.
Right.
And I go out and and everybody won't play. And then when I won't play, people won't be serious. It's just never been alignment with when I think I'm ready versus when the other person who I may be interested in or I may see potential with them is ready. So yeah, I don't know.
You don't feel like it's their business at all.
I don't. I don't feel like it's their business.
I'm just saying, be careful with, because you don't want confusion. And
Yeah.
I've seen that. Oh my gosh. So I have kind of a funny story. So there was this Facebook, this guy just randomly posted this story on Facebook, and he had been dating this girl. Now, whether it was serious or not, I'm not sure. He was dating this girl. I know they had went on at least 10 dates, right? But they weren't maybe girlfriend and boyfriend. So for his birthday, he wanted to take her to an island. He didn't say which island, but he made it sound like it was very expensive. So he was like, I'm flying her out. I'm taking care of everything. I'm being a gentleman.
Right.
So he said, when we get out there, of course, he tries to pursue her sexually.
Right.
And she's like, oh, no, I'm not into it tonight.
Right.
So he says by the third night, he asked her, are you into me? Like, what's going on? And that's when she told him, I'm saving myself for my husband. And
that's, yeah.
It was a funny story, but at the same time, I feel like it was completely wrong.
Yes.
Because my thing is you have to be, if you're not even dating with intention,
right?
Then that's fine. But don't have these men out here wasting their money.
I totally agree.
Like,
I'll tell you,
because it can. I mean, I think he ended up saying he left her there stranded or something crazy. Yeah. So I mean, you just gotta really be careful.
But I think with that too, like, so obviously they've been talking for a while. So I think a part of my love language is really knowing who I'm dealing with. Like, I like to have those intimate conversations. So if we're on date number 10 or date whatever before we flying out, or at least on the phone kikiing, I'm gonna know what you want and you gonna know what I want. So I had a situation like that back during the summertime. I had to go to LA for something, and I meet this guy who was, obviously attracted to me. We followed each other on Instagram, and then I think that was in like June. I think by August, early August or late July, I finally end up giving the guy my number. Okay. And we were talking, and he's like, let's do another trip again, because the hotel I was staying at in LA was the hotel he was staying at where we met, and he was like, let's just go on a trip. Let's do something. And I was like, that's cool. And I was like, but I told him I was a virgin. I be playing sometimes. I was like, I'm sorry. You don't believe it? Well, guess what? He didn't believe it either. He was like, okay, whatever. Like, when we doing this trip? And I'm like, you really want to do this trip after I told you? After you're not getting no poom poom, you want to do this trip? And he was like, yeah. And then when it got time and we were actually planning a trip, then we started FaceTiming. And he was like, you really like a virgin? Like, you're just playing, right? I was like, no. Like, I've not done that. I want to save myself. I gotta stop. I gotta be stopped. And so, but that's why my friend's story, y'all, you know all the ratchetry. God, but anyway, so long story short, he just gave up. He was just like, this girl. Yeah. I don't blame him either. He did the right thing.
He did the right thing.
He did the right thing.
Shout out to him for doing the right
thing. Shout out.
But you know what? If everyone is just really open and honest about what they want, I feel like the world would be a better place as far as relationships. Because essentially, most people want the same thing. We all want to love, and we want to be loved.
Yep.
And so, and I tell women all the time, because I'm like, oh, I feel like men can't just be honest. And to an extent, sometimes that's kind of true. Like, some men cannot be honest. But I think the reason why they feel they can't be honest about what they want is because they feel like the women won't do it. But I'm like, there is always someone that is down with the same program as you. Because I have 3 couples right now that are in poly relationships, and it works for them. And they're all on the same page, and they're happy, and they're content in their life. Yeah. Across the board.
So I have a question about that. So how does that work, right? So these they're in poly relationships.
Polyamorous for those who don't
Right.
know what poly means.
So are there rules to this, to the poly?
Oh yes,
Okay.
absolutely. There are rules.
Because it's not like we out one day and I'm like, oh, babe, he fine. Like, can we bring
Can
him
he do it?
home?
Right.
Like, how does it work? Like, do these couples actually like genuinely make connections with these
Mhm.
outside people?
So the ones that I have, the three that are in sex therapy right now, they
Mhm.
genuinely have connections. Now there
Mhm.
are people that those are more swingers, we call them, because
Okay.
it's not relationships. They
Okay.
just bring somebody in,
And
have fun with them for the night, and they're out the next day.
okay. Okay.
But the polyamorous relationships, it is an actual relationship.
Wow.
So, the three couples I have, one in particular, I want to bring them on the show.
Mhm.
And one of them they're open to doing it because I get so many questions about this. But
Mhm.
they're an older couple, and it's two women and a man.
Mhm.
So the male and the female, they've been married for maybe like 15, 20 years.
Mhm.
And the woman, actually, it was her idea to
Mhm.
have an open relationship.
Hmm.
She felt like she needed help in the household.
Mhm.
She has a low libido. And she
Mm.
realized that she wasn't pleasing her man.
Mm.
And at first I was like, well, were you afraid that he was going to step out of the
Mhm.
relationship
Right.
and you needed to get a hold on it before something else happened?
Right.
Or before something happened? And she was like, no. She was like, I just realized it was unfair to my partner and I needed help in the household. She
Wow.
was like, I didn't mind. I didn't want to cook and clean. She was
Mhm.
like, I wanted another partner to bring in to help me with these things.
Right.
And they found a girl or
Mhm.
young woman, a little, maybe about 10 years younger than them.
Mhm.
And the wife met her at the gym. And there was an attraction there. They started hanging out. They were friends first.
Mhm.
And then they decided, you know what? This could possibly work. Like, this could be our girlfriend. And
Mhm.
she was with it.
Wow.
So now it is the three of them. And now they all three have been
Do they live together?
Yeah, they live together.
Wow.
All three of them have been together now for, I want to say 3.5 years.
Okay.
But there are rules to a poly relationship. One, I always tell people, it is not for the weak-hearted. You have to be very secure in yourself. You have to be very secure in your relationship to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult with just two people. So imagine a third person. That's three different energies, three different vibes.
Yes, absolutely.
And so with them, they had to establish a set of rules. And their rules, it works for them.
Do you help them create these rules?
And that's actually what we're going through now is boundaries. Because the wife feels that the girlfriend sometimes oversteps her boundaries. But I'm like, this is a 50-50 relationship. So now, how is she overstepping her boundaries when she is his second wife? I mean, in the state of Georgia, you can't do that. So look at the laws. But he considers her his second wife. So she, I said, if you agree to him bringing on a second wife, then it's now a 50-50 partnership.
Right.
So you have to be willing to accept what goes along with that.
Right.
So
and you counsel all three of them?
All three of them come to sessions.
Wow.
And they have their own individual sessions, but all three of them come to sessions.
Wow.
So we can talk about that more on the next podcast.
Okay.
We can talk about, because people always want to know, like, how do you bring a poly relationship up to your partner? And I've done Instagram lives on this, and it's not all fun. It takes work. It takes a lot of work. But if you're honest, I think I have a lot of men that's what they want.
Yeah.
And they say, this is what I want. How do I convince my girlfriend or what? You cannot convince anybody to do a poly relationship. Right. They have to be interested in that because it is a different lifestyle.
Right.
And it can be fun if you make it fun.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Wow.
So we are... Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do, because we only have 3 minutes left, is I want to go ahead and get your IG handle, let people know how they can follow you.
Absolutely. So it's Dr. DR.RELL, RELL Whitmore. Dr. Rel Whitmore on Instagram. And I mentioned the website earlier. If you're interested in any of my business services, it's white coat, white collar, spelled out completely.com.
Thank you. And guys, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm DR.CANARY, CANARY. You can also follow my Mind Body Sex. That's where I give you sex tips. We talk about mental health. For those who don't know, I'm also a doctor, so I'm really a big advocate of mental health. And that's mind.body.sex, and that's on Instagram. And if you're interested in a session, right now I am a little booked, but I will try and fit you in any way possible. But you can go to www.drmbs.com and you can set up a consultation on there if need be. Thank you guys so much. Next month, I have a little special program, so you guys tune in. I'm not going to tell you just yet, but this is actually the next one's going to be for the ladies. It's really going to be for the ladies. We're going to have some men in here, and I'm probably going to bring Dr. RELL back if she's free, and we're going to talk about what men truly want. Thank you guys so much for checking in. This is Brains Behind the Beauty.
Bye.